can we say about Venice that already has not been said over and over again? The name is derived from the ancient Veneti, people who inhabited the region by the 10th century BC. Venice is known as La Serenissima, Queen of the Adriatic, the most beautiful city built by men. Venice is composed of 117 small islands spread on the Venice Lagoon. For most of its history, Venice has been wealthy as a very important trade center. Its art, its important artistic movements. After a delightful ride by water taxi from the Marco Polo airport, we reached the Iliasidi Palace, a very charming hotel which originally was a real palace. It is very well located, but away from the crowded touristic attractions of Venice. Nowadays, Venice is one of the most visited cities in the world. Its arts movements continues to draw an incredible number of people. La Biennale, the film festival, its opera season at one of the most beautiful opera houses of the world. Remember the film Summertime? When Catherine Hepburn walks on those very narrow and quiet streets of Venice? By the end of her walk, she saw something incredible and extraordinary beautiful. St. Mark's Square. To celebrate the end of a devastating plague of 1630, the Republic of Venice erected a church which is called Santa Maria della Salute, Saint Mary of Health. It was designed by Baldassare Longina. It is filled with objects bearing references to the Black Death. The Dome of La Salute is now one of the Venetian symbols which adorns the skyline of Venice and inspired artists like Canuello, Turner and Francisco Gardi. measuring 3,800 meters long and between 30 and 90 meters wide. The Grand Canal is the major waterway in Venice. One end leads into the lagoon near Santa Lucia railway station and the other end leads into St. Mark Basin. Until the 19th century, only one bridge was across the Grand Canal, the Rialto. Now there are three more bridges: Ponte del Scalzi, Ponte dell'Accademia and Ponte della Costituzione, a controversial bridge, designed by Santiago Calatrava. The Palazzo Venier dei Leoni was the house of Peggy Guggenheim, where she lived, surrounded by her art and her beloved dogs, as well. It's now converted into one of the most important museums in Italy, for European and American art, of the first half of the 20th century. In 1797, construction of housing was barred in Venice, leaving some examples of unfinished palaces, like Palazzo Venier dei Leoni, where Peggy Guggenheim lived, and San Marcuola. Two very important annual events take place on the Grand Canal: the historical regatta and the feast day of Madonna della Salute. They built float stands where thousands of people can watch these events. After visiting the Peggy Guggenheim collection, we approached the Accademia Galleries, which has a very rich collection of Venetian paintings, from the Byzantine and Gothic 14th century to the artists of the Renaissance. Among them, the magnificent The Marriage at Cana by Veronese. One of the best ways to move around is the Vaporetto, which crisscross the Grand Canal and also goes to different parts of the city. But one can walk too, avoiding the most crowded areas. It's amazing how the water taxis, gondolas, Vaporettos and public service boats can share the canals with great skills and no accidents. Here is my friend Herbert Zahn, trying to film a little store where a red goblet was displayed, one like Catherine Hepburn saw in the film Summertime. He is a little concerning of falling into the canal, like Katie Hepburn did. The magnificent Venice sunset is followed by the stunning night. By this time, most of the t-shirts, shorts and flip-flop tourists are gone. St. Mark's Square becomes musical, illuminated by shooting stars, sold by the paddlers. Many very famous people were born or lived in Venice: Titian, Casanova, Thomas Mann, Richard Wagner, Byron, Marco Polo, Vivaldi and Canaletto, who immortalized Venice in his canvas. Quoting the Brazilian poet, Vinicius de Moraes, sadness has no end, but happiness does. So, we had to leave Venice. This time, the water taxi took us to the train station, and during the route, we had another chance to admire this fairy tale city, portrayed so many times throughout the centuries.